Hello, welcome back to Tuesday Talks. So sorry that this took 2 weeks to get out. I had to scrap several ideas before landing on this one. I got halfway through with making one and I dropped it in the middle and it's just been a whole ordeal. But before getting into the content of the speed paint, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about Tuesday Talks as a series. This series will be released either weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how much I need to put into a speed paint. It will help me push out a little bit more content and just get better at speaking and hopefully just be a fun time to talk about things that I usually don't get to talk about. So let's get into this speed paint. Uh, for this, it's a little bit of a divergence from my usual Warrior Cats content, and I wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and my first character that I ever created, Iados, because I love him so much, and I was looking at his design in an old art book, which I'll hopefully have included a picture of at the end, and I was like, I can redo him because I'm getting really into revamping some stories. And I made him like 5 or 6 years ago and have done nothing with him since. I played him in a campaign for like a little bit of time and then that ended and I just went, oh, next on to the next character, and I've never looked back, and I've also been a DM for most of the time, so I don't even get a chance to play him. But from what I can remember, he was a Tiefling Warlock that was raised in a religious cult, and he ran away after a while and just lived in the wilderness. And I think that he had a pact with the Great Old One. If not, that's just what I'll give him, anyways. And his special pact that he had would probably have been the talisman, but I never got him past level 1. So with all that technical D&D stuff out of the way, let's get into the artistic side of this drawing. Originally, he had gray skin with dark blue hair and golden eyes. I kept all of those features, uh, except for the hair style and more like specific colors from the original drawing that I did. His skin is more of like an orangish gray instead of a bluish gray, which you can see that I kind of changed that throughout. And his hair is more wavy and more grayish blue than just blue. And he lost the braids that he had. In his first rendition, he had like bangs and then a side short um, braid next to his ear. And then it was in another version bangs and a long braid, or like two long braids, and I just no braids, short hair. I don't draw a lot of characters with short hair, so I just went that way with him. In the way of his outfits, I really wanted to keep his long button-up coat. I changed the coat from this like gray that I had it at first because I never decided to give it a color, so it was just gray. And now I made this darker green. I mixed up the placement of the buttons because they used to be just straight down, and now they're going across like a more personalized, like military style. Um, Also, if you notice in the original design, I he had wings because tieflings will have wings, some of them, and originally they were bat-like. In a different rendition, they were feathered wings, and I just removed them because he didn't look good with wings anymore. And I had tried to add them during the sketching phase that I didn't show in this video, and it just didn't look bad, so I decided to skip it. And I just liked how it looked without. I did want to keep the horns because I felt like that was such a really specific point of his design, especially like for facial shape. And I tried to give them, and you can see the golden stripes that they had in the second rendition of his design, and I did not like it at all. So I just kept it this flat, like yellowish gray color, which was changed from the original just like base gray. Also, there are two headshots of him with like the only most minor change in his eyes, and I did that because I wanted to show how he uses one of his abilities called Awaken Mind, where he can communicate with the creatures telepathically. And I just wanted to use the little like glow in the eyes to show that. I thought I was gonna make whole eyes white at first, and then I liked just the little glow. I know it's a really small detail, but it just makes me happy to see it. And okay, so with all that, I want to chat about the actual like artist like skills that I use. This was and like this was incredibly long. This took like almost 2 hours and 20 minutes on the recording alone, and I didn't even record any of the sketching as you saw. Uh, so that's like probably 20 more minutes. So at least 2.5 hours, which is a lot more than I tend to do for like warrior catch drawings because there's a lot of layers with clothing that need to be added in. So I thought this was really cool, and it also shows how much easier it is to just draw a cat and then move on. I also used a couple of other techniques that I don't use when I draw cats. I like to bolden the outer lines to add more depth and to make it easier to color. For faces, I add reddish highlights on the nose, cheeks, lips, ears, and around the eyes. And then after that layer, I'll go in and add more, which will be like more evident around the ear tips, upper eye, nose, and the bottom lip, and just a little bit on the cheeks, like by the cheekbone. I think it's really good for adding depth. And I also did a lot of experimenting with blending out on the horns and the hair, which turned out really, really nice. I really like to use darker lines. I'll go and like do take the hair color and then I'll take two different colors that are darker than that and go in and draw lines and then a lighter that's like a lighter color and then blend that out to make it look more natural, like there's individual strands. And I went, oh, what if I just blend around? And it looked really cool and it was way easier to do. And I didn't have to spend like 15 extra minutes trying to do hair. So I think I'll be experimenting with that a little bit more. And I know that I haven't drawn humans or humanoid characters on my channel like in absolute forever, mostly because I don't think my skills of drawing humans are good. Like you'll probably see in some of my older pictures I'm going to put in this video that I have come a long way from how I've done that. And it's seriously been this whole struggle of like learning anatomy and going from paper to digital, and I feel like I lost a bunch of my skill because it doesn't translate as well. And I am now getting to a really comfortable spot where I don't mind drawing as much. So yeah, that's it's fun. Hopefully you'll see a lot more of human characters or humanoid characters. So if you want to see more of that, tune in for next week. I won't be talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I think I'll switch back to talking about warrior cats for that. But I do have a cool video coming out after, in 2 weeks from now, that I'm very excited for and that I have already started working on, like, well in advance because it's gonna take a long time to get out. So next week's video is probably just gonna be like really simple and sweet. And I know this video is so much longer than the Wavetail video. And yeah, thanks for watching. And if you made it this far, I appreciate your effort and I mean, thank you a lot. Bye.